everybody. I am a bit late, my bad. But the game, I believe, draft is going to be starting in a couple minutes. We are actually going to be seeing a rematch. We are a bit behind. We're not behind. I don't know what the hell I'm talking about. It is a bit early in the season to see rematches, but just, you know, scheduling moment. So we are actually going to see Andromeda and Spectres face off again here. Previously, I believe it was a swift 2-0 for the Spectres, but I feel like Andromeda has definitely shown some improvement since then, whereas I feel like Spectres have just kind of been equally dominant throughout. So I think there's a possibility to see a bit of a different look from these teams as we go in here. Featured player for Andromeda is PB. I feel like he's been performing super well. Feels like he's doing a lot of the shot calling, and they definitely enjoy playing through him in most of their games. 86 games played. The champs played is still broken. He has not played 106 champs. His win rate 54.7%, 4.13 KDA. The champions to watch here, actually we'll skip over that. And this is still broken. Oops. Hold on. I will see if I can fix that. But anyway, on the other team, Sarverus is the key player for Spectres, has played 56 games, 62.5% win rate, 4.23 KD. He did role swap to jungle in one of his previous series and performed quite well. But we are going to be heading into draft. Let me see if I can't take a quick look at these featured champions. Ivern, I would say Lilia also versus Arius. Gruer, the Echo, and Syndra are both pretty scary. And then Sarvis and Mythic on the Kaisa and Nautilus are their two best champions. We do have Bean playing top lane for Spectres this game. I don't believe he's played top before, so we don't have a featured champion for him yet. Alana, her Mordekaiser, obviously I expect to see the Shyvana banned away from Jonah, and then Stanley has played the most Zillion, and then Alex and PB on Caitlyn and Rel are their two most known champions. I would expect to just see Shyvana and Rel taken away entirely, though. We are in the draft. Rel and Caitlyn are banned away early. We might see Shyvana go through. So Rakan is taken away from Andromeda. They're just really targeting PB. Pretty scared of him. Sejuani is actually taken away from Caesarius. I'm not entirely sure. I agree with that. I feel like his Lilia is a bit better. Echo and Nautilus are taken away. These players both main this champion, so I don't think... Or they main those champions, so I don't think it's super surprising. Looks like Gruer is just going to blind Xerath. It's possible, but the Lilia does just go through. It's possible that they're going to first pick the Victor, which I think does make it a little spicy, but I think they're just choosing it to give it over to Stanley. I think the Victor Syndra lane is very skill intensive, so that could kind of go either way. Looks like we're just going to see a Lucian, probably Milio, as the pairing lane locked in really early. Alex and PB have done quite well in this on the past, so hopefully for Spectres they did some prep to try to figure out how to beat this. But we will have to see if they're able to manage it. Andromeda was really able to break open their game against MVP with this comp. Looks like we're seeing the Ashe locked in. I think it's a decent lane going into this Lucian Milio. I'm not entirely sure that you could really stop it. I feel like Ashe does a good job of stopping Lucian just because you can kind of poke him out and slow him down, and you're able to kind of withstand it, but I feel like Milio does kind of mitigate a lot of what Ashe can do, especially with that ultimate. It's just able to completely negate the arrow, so I feel like the Lucian Milio pairing is pretty solid here. I'm expecting to probably see a Leona slotted in with this Ashe, although Ashe Karma is also really good, so we could see a return to that. We are seeing this Leona locked in for Mythic. It's very comfortable for him. He loves Nautilus, and I feel like Leona is pretty similar. So I'm hoping we get to see a jungle locked in for Andromeda here. I would like to see Shyvana locked in before it gets banned away. Obviously, no solo laners are locked in, so it's hard to counterpick them for Andromeda. So I'd probably just want to grab the Shyvana here if it's what they want. But instead, we're getting a Lowy locked in before the bans. I feel like there's a lot of champions that can counter it, so maybe we're going to see some bans targeted towards covering this Lowy in the first game. I feel like Alana has voiced her distaste for playing into Avery, does not like that matchup for herself. So maybe they're just trying to give her a really comfortable lane here in the first game when she doesn't have to play into Avery, and then see where she can kind of go from there. Xerath is banned away. So is Victor. It's possible Stanley could just try to grab the Syndra away here, and then they'll just save the mid pick for later. But I'll have to see what gets banned. I'd like to just see bans covering whatever mid pick they're looking to go for, but it looks like the Syndra is going to be banned, so I'm expecting Stanley to get the R5 pick here. And I think as Andromeda, you just need to pray whatever jungler you're looking to lock in here doesn't get banned, or that Spectres does a poor job of covering whatever Gruer's going to play. But Jarvan is banned instead, so I do expect a Shyvana here from Andromeda. I would be surprised if it were something else. But the Rek'Sai is hovered, and it is just immediately locked in here. I think this is a really interesting pick to go for. Obviously, the bar of execution for Rek'Sai is a little bit higher than some of the other champions that we see a lot, but it really enables you to get bot kind of snowballing ahead if you get these good ganks off, just falls off later in the game. And the pick in return is going to be Mordekaiser. It was just allowed through. This lane is really good for the Mordekaiser. Makes it really hard for Alawi to get what she wants done. So we'll have to see if Bean can execute on this champion, although I do think the threshold for beating an Alawi, even a very skilled Alawi, is simply just not that high, unfortunately. Just because of the nature of the matchup, I don't think it's, much you can do there. Ryze is blinded here. I think there are some picks that you can slam into here. I'm not sure how comfortable Stanley is on any of them. The Xerath and Syndra actually being really good counters to it that are banned away from Andromeda. I really like how Spectres did draft here. They're utilizing Andromeda's own bans against them, taking out good counters into the Ryze, but Stanley is going to be locking in the Aurelion Soul. I am very excited. That champion is kind of fun to watch when it gets far ahead, and Stanley on a counter pick into this team is going to be pretty exciting. I think the one thing I do want to point out in the comps here is that Ashe is going to be their only source of AD damage on Spectres, so especially if Andromeda gets ahead, it's going to be really easy for the Alawi and then the Rek'Sai scaling into the late game to be able to itemize magic resist items and kind of just stop taking damage, which I think will be pretty nice. We might see something like an Abyssal Mask coming out from Rek'Sai if we are going purely tank in the late game, but a Maw is going to be very high value. Probably honestly a Maw for the Lucian as well once you get later into the game. Maybe a QSS could be really useful, like maybe a Silvermere Dawn on the Alawi could be pretty solid because it gets you out of Leona, Ashe, Lilia. There's just a lot of CC there, and the MR is obviously super helpful as well. So I am going to kick it back here. I got this working. The key matchup, in my opinion, is going to be Gruer versus Stanley. Gruer is all-time 3-0 versus Stanley, and these stats are ridiculous. Gruer has a 17.00 KDA into Stanley, who has a 1 KD back into him. But Stanley, a lot more experienced in playing mid lane in this server, and has a bit of a more unique champion pool, whereas Gruer, I feel like you know what you're getting. He has these very good assassin picks, but then he also plays some of these more long-range characters. I'm very excited to see how this matchup goes. It should be in Stanley's favor just based off draft, so we're going to have to see if he's able to execute on it and give us what we want to see. I am hopeful, I will be honest. I think Stanley can definitely pull this one out here if he plays well. So, looking forward to seeing how this matchup goes. I feel like Andromeda got basically everything they wanted in this draft here. The only complaint I'd have if I were on that team is that you are still going to have to play this Alawi into Mordekaiser matchup, which is pretty doomed. I don't think that's necessarily what you're looking for when you lock this in, but I don't think it's something that you really need to complain about because I assume that they were expecting that this was going to happen. I think Alana is probably just comfortable enough on the champion that you don't really care too much. and she can itemize Spirit Visage pretty well. So I think just based on their comp, she should have a decent time playing the game. Just going to look at these season records. Rise has only been played once this season, which is pretty interesting. Is 1-0. Leona has been doing quite well this season, and so has Asol. Ashe has actually been doing really bad. I feel like Ashe and Xayah are both considered counters into meta champions, so you'll see those locked in a lot of the time, and then people will just slam Ashe or Xayah to try and counter it, but they're not as comfortable on the champion, and they do end up losing. So looking at the player matchups, these are mostly just going to be from the last time these teams played. Caesarius and Jonah. Caesarius taking the dub, and Gruer having a very good line into Stanley, which we already looked at. Sarvis has played another series into Alex, did quite well. Some of these KDAs are just ridiculous. And then Mythic and PB have a bit of a longer history against each other, with it being a bit closer than the other ones, but Mythic is up 5-2 in this head-to-head. Overall records tell a bit of a different story. Ashe traditionally has been overperforming. Leona has just been very solid in the server in general. I feel like same with Nautilus, just very easy to execute, very good in our elo of 5-mans. Rise 5-13, not looking pretty well, not looking very good, I guess. Asol, a little bit positive, but yeah, I think Ashe generally when she's picked is slotted really well. I just think recently she's just been used as a counter pick, and there is a bit of a lack of matchup knowledge here. Sarvis, however, I do trust to be able to make the most out of it. As we go into the champ matchups, Mordekaiser should be beating Alawi, but actually Alawi has won more in this server. I think a tad embarrassing for the Mordekaiser players, but I think it's kind of the same thing as Mordekaiser is hypothetically just going to be better, but realistically that doesn't end up happening as much. Rek'Sai versus Lilia. Lilia has come out on top, but it looks like the Rek'Sai performed a bit better that game. Surprisingly, no Rise versus Asol matchups previously. Leona 2-0 versus Milio. So we're going to have to see if Leona can continue dominating that matchup. And then Ashe is slightly favored into the Lucian matchup, although her KD is a bit worse. So if we are trusting these numbers, which I really don't think we should, they seem to be favoring the side of the Spectres, but I do believe that this Asol Lucian Milio is just going to be super comfort for Andromeda, and then Jonah got his choice on the Rek'Sai, so I expect him to be able to execute pretty well on that. Also, looking at past performance, Bean has played Mordekaiser in a different role, but not in the top lane, which is why this happens. I might look to fix it. Actually, oh, okay. I actually know why everything's broken. It's not that it was played in a different role, it's that it's been banned in a game that they've been in. Interesting. Okay. Coding moments. Sarvis and Mythic are both undefeated on these two champions, doing quite well. Caesarius is 3-2 on Lilia, but I think it is comfort for him. Alana 1-5 on the Alawi, not performing as well as her Mordekaiser, but I think they just felt it would slot into their composition better. Allowing the Asol to be solo AP is pretty good. It's hard to itemize against him, and if you do get to late game, he's going to be massive. Alex and PB also looking quite good, and their KDAs on these champions are definitely more impressive than Sarvis and Mythic, but obviously PB is sitting on a Milio loss there, which almost makes the KD just more impressive. Looking at the season records is already something we took a look at. So I'm just going to kick it back to draft and look at this. I feel like Spectres cannot be unhappy with their draft. I feel like the only thing you might be worried a little bit about is just your damage spread. I don't know if Mythic really plays any 80 mids, but if you had like an 80 blind mid that you were more comfortable with, I feel like that could have been better. Like, I don't know if you're a big Jace fan or something, that could have been a good angle here. I think the assassin mids are a bit better, but like maybe a Trist or something just gives you a better variety of damage, especially when you already have the Lilia and Mordekaiser. Anyone on the top side's going to be able to itemize a lot of MR earlier, but you do have comfort for a lot of these players. And I feel like you got the Ashe Leona into the Lucian Milio lane. It's definitely something that they were aware of if they've been paying much attention. So I expect that this was a planned counter pick into it, and then obviously Mordekaiser into Alawi you're very happy about, and I don't think the Lilia Rek'Sai matchup is like super doomed, but obviously jungle matchups don't matter that much. I do believe actually Lilia Rek'Sai is Lilia favored, but not as good as the Lilia matchup into Shyvana is, which could be why we didn't end up seeing that. I might have honestly preferred to just see like a Kha'Zix or something from Jonah, just like a nice scaling assassin to complement the Acel. That's also a champion that Silico has shown a lot on recently in the jungle, so just could be an angle if this game doesn't end up going as well. Could be a good adaptation into the next game. Mason is saying that Rek'Sai is favored into Lilia, so clearly I don't know what I'm talking about. We have a lot of M7s in this game. 7 out of 10, I believe. Oh, I'm on full screen here. Oopsies. We will get that fixed soon. Okay. Should have it all good here. Not necessarily sure I'm expecting a level 1 from either of these teams. Looks like they're just posturing pretty passively for now. But obviously, things could change. There are some pings coming down. Looks like Caesarius is looking for a bit of a deeper ward. Trying to get some vision down onto Jonah, but he's now falling down to half health. The ISO Q from Bean is getting a lot, but Alana's just staying still. And now Stanley's looking for some stacks on the Acel, just trying to get the poke down. I'm not 100% sure how Stardust works. I don't think he's gotten any, though.
Minions have spawned.
Yeah, the result of the level 1 actually does give you 2 really good wards for the side of Spectres. Good macro play, obviously very important. PB usually likes to ward down in this area, but it didn't happen. Sarvis is now getting early poke down onto Alex, but I'm not sure it's going to amount to too much. Interestingly, Alex did start with W in this matchup. Normally you go W when you have first strike, and if you have press the attack, you're going to want to start E. Just because you get one auto, then E in for the double reset, and that chunk early in the game is huge. But now Jonah's made it to his blue buff already, and he's just running on Caesarius. The flash knockup is here. Caesarius might just have to flash in return. Milio's roaming up, but mid-prio is given over to Spectres, so the flash is expended from the Rek'Sai and gets absolutely nothing in return. Maybe gets to save his blue buff, but I think that was probably going to end up happening anyway. Lana is just trying to clear these minions out under tower. Unfortunately misses a couple of them there. Bean just getting this early shove off, doing quite well. Cull is taken by the Ashe here. It's a bit greedy. You're obviously losing health. I think the sustain is technically better. Obviously, if you do go like longsword 3 pots, you're going to have more pot sustain. But the sustain individually from the item is the best for the early lane. But not having as much health when you're going to get all-in by Lucian Milio early is a bit scary. And as you can see, Sarvis has already fallen down to about half health. Sarvis has been doing a good job of farming here, though. He's up a few CS, and normally you're going to be down into a Lucian just because he can pressure you. But I think that's probably the point of the Ashe counter pick, because you're able to kind of avoid this. The trading is coming down in the mid lane. It looks like it's favoring Brewer. Some pings are coming down. There is going to be some vision here, but it looks like Rek'Sai is looking for the play. Lots of trading going down in the top lane. Since Mordekaiser is resourceless, he is going to have the advantage here. And Alana's just going to have to back and probably take a TP back here. But it looks like she's not trying to miss out on the wave. A good E ISO Q auto from Mordekaiser here, I believe, would be enough to kill. So she does have to be very careful here. Jonah is looking for the invade. The red buff is available. I'm not sure if he's going to identify that and go for it. Is tunneling over the wall. Is not going to be spotted on this ward until now. Is going to go in for this play. Gets the knock up onto Leona. And Lucian's getting a lot of damage down. They do get the flash out of Leona, but they're not going to get much else on this play. Stanley's going in, gets rooted. Both of these mid laners very low on mana, but the phase rush pops out from Gruer, and he's about to get the solo kill. They both flash under tower, and it should just be a 1-for-1 trade with first blood going over to Gruer and additional 100 gold going to him. But this Aesol late game is going to be terrifying. So going for that 1-for-1 early isn't too bad, but both of these champions are a bit scaling, so I think the advantage is really going to come down to whichever of them can execute better in that team fighting part of the game. Ghost is popped by Sarvis here. I'm not sure if that was intentional. Is immediately spotted out by Alex. Sometimes when you just fat finger a summoner spell like that, you hope no one notices, but I do think it was picked up there. Looks like Lilia is looking to possibly make a play. Neither team has pinged on the dragon yet. It is available. First dragon of the game is Ocean, so no Ocean Soul. I feel like Ocean Soul could be pretty good on Andromeda, but neither team is like super upset that they don't have it. I feel like the damage souls are what you're really going to want on the Lucian team, especially if you can get him snowballing. But Sarvis continues to play this lane really well. I think this counter pick was well planned out. He's up about a wave of CS here, and hasn't gotten any jungle attention while the Rek'Sai has already ganked. Gets pulled in there. Alex is able to dash out, but Gruer's super low here, and Caesarius is coming in, but Jonah also has the gank coming out here, and Stanley's able to pick up one, and the knockup actually saves Stanley there. Stanley's at very low health, and Jonah is looking for this kill, does not quite yet have flash. I wonder what the cooldown is on that. It looks like it just came up, so it was not very long. Just want to do a quick check on Stanley's health bar. He fell down quite low. Yes, 14 was, I believe, the lowest. And then if we're looking at the flash cooldown, 7 seconds after the play ended is when that came back up. Andromeda definitely came on top of that mid play, obviously getting a kill onto the Aesol, but Spectres is still maintaining about a 500 to 600 gold lead, mostly off the CS in the top lane, but they do have leads in the other two lanes as well. Alana is getting traded on pretty heavily. Cheeky emote coming out here. Jonah is just being locked up here, has the flash, but just flashes in place, is not able to get over the wall, and is just going to get caught out here. But it now looks like they're going for the play. Huge Realm Warp coming in from Gruer to get behind. Gets the root down onto PB, who was able to flash under tower, but has to expend both summoner spells. Stanley was looking for the roam, but just did not quite have it. There are going to be a lot of resources available for a dragon fight, potentially, for this side. Okay, a lot just happened there. Alex's cleanse was burned out. He's now falling down really low, but is just going to be healed up by the Milio. But yeah, I think Andromeda's dragon taking potential here could be good. They're about to get both their ults up. Now their health bars are just super low. Caesarius was able to just steal this blue buff from Jonah, though. Now the Mordekaiser ultimate comes down. If it came down a bit earlier, it's a bit better, but Bean's just going to be able to walk down the Alawi and kill her. This matchup is pretty doomed. Lana did play it right, though. You got pretty close to your tower before Mordekaiser was able to ult you, flashing before the ult because you want to increase your likelihood of being able to be in tower range, and then ulting after the Mordekaiser ults you is always what you want to do so you can keep your tentacles. But now Bean is looking for Jonah here, and he's getting collapsed on again. Takes a tunnel out over the wall. He's fallen down to about half. Caesarius does not have ulti, but they're getting so much damage onto Jonah, and that's another kill for Bean. Just no respect for that Mordekaiser there. He was full health after that fight against Alawi. Dragon has still not been taken, but Spectres is starting up this Rift Herald looking for that early objective. And they won't be punished for it because I don't think there's a shot that Andromeda can contest it. And it doesn't look like they're really going for the Dragon either. Jonah is pathing back towards top lane, but this Rift Herald is already dead, unfortunately, for them. Damage is coming down here. The poke from the Ashe has been pretty brutal. Is about to finish this cull without being punished for it, which is obviously what you want to see if you're building towards the cull. Could just be scary later in the game, but obviously Lucian is going to be really terrifying in some of these early skirmishes, or if they're able to pick something out in lane here. Jonah is looking for a flank, does have this Rek'Sai ult available, I believe. Looks a bit funky on the overlay, but there was just a ward placed, and Rek'Sai still has stealth ward, does not have a sweeper to clear that out. Yeah, so they're basically just able to completely neutralize that play with that ward. Really good placement there. Able to ensure that they can meet the wave safely before Andromeda shoves it into them. Brewer does have this Roa stacking. It's going to complete at about 20 minutes. Same with the Lilia. They're itemizing a lot of scaling on these two champions. I think it is going to be very difficult to deal with, especially because I feel like Rek'Sai, Alawi, Lucian all kind of fall off a bit. Jonah's able to secure that, but does have to burn the smite, which means it's not going to be up if the dragon does get started soon. And here's what you're really looking for. The Lucian has the ultimate available. If you can get a really good fight here, you're in a great position. Alana is just dead. I don't think there's any way you can really survive this Mordekaiser play. Walked up just a bit too far and is too low, and just as Alawi into Mordekaiser, there is completely nothing you can do. Jonah is possibly looking to start this up, but is just looking for a play. Ryze is sitting with Realm Warp, could easily just flip this. It's almost as if they're daring Jonah to start this up. The bowling ball from Lilia does hit the dragon, which Jonah's going to spot on a ward that he placed. Or actually, this is a PB ward. Good support vision. And now they're trying to speed Alex up to get him out of here. Now the Realm Warp's coming down. Has two there. Has to burn the cleanse, but is just going to fall anyway. The Drowsy hits PB under tower. They're not going to be able to pick anything up. The TP comes down from Acel, but it is just a little bit late. Really good play for them, making good use of the Ryze ultimate. Ashe actually didn't even need to burn R for that. And PB had to ult as well as Alex using cleanse, so this just puts Spectres in quite a good position. And now Rift Herald is coming down. They're trying to get a bit more of a lead here. Brewer was able to roam back to mid before Stanley was able to cover it. But now Alex and PB are here. Jonah's looking, has the knockup on Caesarius. The Q from Lucian actually hits onto the Rift Herald instead. The Asher comes now, but it's just going to miss, and they're able to pick up one. Brewer falling down, and actually Alex is able to pick it up with the ultimate to pick him up. Alana is maybe winning this one. Catches Bean inside the inside her ultimate, making use of that Mordekaiser ult being on CD, leaving him unable to really punish her. And actually, Andromeda is able to pick up this first dragon, get in the ocean. Mountain is up next, so we are going to see either souls that are really good for both teams, or I feel like Cloud is a lot better for Spectres personally, and then Chemdeck is obviously just bad in general. The only champion it might kind of be decent on is Alawi, I feel like. Mordekaiser as well. I feel like it's really good for Juggernauts, not super great for anybody else. Stanley is getting his stacks up. He's chilling at about 100 Stardust right now. I feel like that puts him in a solid position. Not great, but he's definitely on track with where he want to be, even though he has a death to his name already. Andromeda is about 2,500 gold down, but I think the dragon makes up for some of it, and a lot of their gold is on the two members that are really going to matter as we get into this late game. The Lucian and the Asol are really what you want to keep your eye on here. Alex is forced to kind of fend for himself down here. It's looking a bit rough if he does get collapsed on. His cleanse is not up, and they have double ults. But now Milio's here with the ultimate, should be able to just bail him out if needed. Just an attempt there, trying to predict the Lucian dashing in. It does not work, but now the ult comes down. They're just going to have to Milio ult there. The Realm Warp comes down again, but this time they're ready for it. Lucian does have to burn Flash. Unfortunately, he did get caught out by that arrow, but they're able to burn the Realm Warp, which I think puts them in a pretty solid position. And now Stanley is here, but the Drowsy's available, but Jonah gets onto Caesarius in the backline, gets some damage down, but he just gets caught out. But the ult comes down in time, is able to pick up Caesarius. Stanley with a really good ultimate. Now they're burning Mythic down. He's falling quite low. And Sarvis is just out of the fight. Alex should be able to pick up another kill here for the team. But Alana and Bean are 1v1ing on the top side. Bean, once again, will win because of the Mordekaiser differential. But Stanley was able to pick up one, and now Stanley is going to be able to pick up another. But Jonah actually does grab it with the Rek'Sai Q. We can just take one more look at the end of this fight. Stanley just Wing over, getting so much damage down. This Asol is such a good champion, especially into the shorter range that is present on the Spectres. I really like this R5 pick from Andromeda. I feel like this season as a whole has had a lot of just juicy R5 mid lane picks, and we haven't seen as much of those from Andromeda, but we are seeing it this game. The Rift Herald is now being done. I think that's too slow. Oops. But yeah, both of the Rift Heralds appear to be going over to Spectres in this game. Some danger pings coming out. They're aware that Caesarius is topside, but now they're going to spot him out on the control ward. Some more gold should be able to be given over to his laners at that point. Apologies for the quick speed up there. Just knew we fell a bit behind looking at replays earlier, so wanted to get closer to live so we have more turnaround time in between games. And now Lucian is coming back to lane with Milio. Has actually caught up in items to the Ashe. Going in, gets a lot of damage down. Sarvers is much lower than Lucian is off the end of that trade. And nothing major was burned from either side, except Sarvers actually had to pull the Ghost. So good play from Alex there to force out that summoner spell. Jonah is just sitting mid. If he can get a good look on Agruer there, but the initiations coming down from Stanley is not able to hit the ultimate. I think there could have been a play if he was able to, but there's just no CC available if that does not connect. Asol sitting at about 150 stacks. I think he's still on track here. I don't really know the breakpoints, but from what I do know, I think that is not terrible. But now it looks like Asol could be in a tougher spot, but he's just able to pull that W and get his ass out of there. Sarius just farming up the red buff. He does have a bit more farm than Jonah, but obviously Jonah has a few more kills. I believe they're probably pretty even in gold. Sarius does have a slight lead. Stanley is actually the sole member of his team ahead in gold. I guess actually PB is as well. These are the two players that they really usually like to play through, so I think that actually puts Andromeda in a decent position, although they are down a couple thousand gold. Alana's looking to just chunk out this turret though, but Mordekaiser's about to show up with ultimate, so she has to just get it and then tuck and run, which it looks like she is going to be doing there. And now there could be a fight breaking out. Mordekaiser has TP, Alawi does not, and it looks like they're going to try and grab mid tower before this gets started up. The entire red team is just sitting on vision there. Puts them in a rough spot. And Stanley is actually just tagged by the Ash arrow. His team is coming in to save him, but he's falling down quite low. The Drowsy is actually not going to get enough done. It is, though. Caesarius decides to trade himself for Stanley. But they're also getting a trade on the backline. Jonah's able to die, but he takes out Gruer. So now it's just bot lane versus bot lane. And I think Andromeda is vastly favored in this matchup. Lucian still has the ulti available while everyone else has expended it already. It looks like Milio was able to pick up a kill there, which gives him the double buffs instead of going over to Alex, which would be able to match Sarvis's double buffs, which is a bit unfortunate. But a good culling here could set them up pretty well. They're just fishing, but it looks like they're not going to end up finding a play. Dragon is up. It looks like Jonah is just running there as fast as he can. He's popping the tunnels, and Asol is booking it as well. Looks like Caesarius has given it up on it, though. And now Alex is looking for a play onto Sarvis. Does not get enough damage to pick him up, though. Play should just end up fizzling. Second tower in the top lane is not yet picked up. But if Andromeda does commit more towards the bottom side of the map, Bean is likely going to be able to get that one. Dragon is started up. They're pulling it out a little bit. Lilia is nowhere to be found. So this should just go cleanly over to Andromeda, and we'll be able to figure out what soul we have. It is going to be Chemtech, which you kind of hate to see. The one solace that you're going to have is that there's a lot of CC on the other team, so maybe having the tenacity won't be that bad. And Rek'Sai and Alawi, I feel like, do well with it if you're able to get something like Asterix to just stay alive a lot longer at those lower health thresholds, but I don't know. Obviously not great. It's definitely the worst soul in the game. Sarius is probably just going to be able to take this away. Jonah might be able to hear the pulses, but I don't think that's going to be enough. Maybe a blind Q there to steal it, but Caesarius knows his damage really well and is just able to get in and out. Heist is complete on the red buff. And they're just giving it over to Mythic, steals it from Sarvis. Denies the red buff from the Ashe there, which is a little goofy, but looks like Alana's probably going to get dove here. Putting a lot of people towards an Alawi can be a little scary. She gets a lot of tentacles down her ult. It is a bit, doomed for the other team. Alawi can get very strong, but Lucian's just pushing in mid lane. No one is contesting him, but they're not really sure where the other team is, so they are just danger pinging him to get off of it. No shutdowns in the game except for on Bean. This Mordekaiser has not died yet, given basically the freest lane of his life just due to draft. He has been doing quite well. Double items completed. Same with his... basically the rest of his team besides support. Fully stacked Roas are available. Stanley's about to complete his tier though, which doesn't put you in much of a worse position, and I feel like this Leandres is going to have a lot of power in this game, especially since a lot of these members are building tankier. I feel like Leandres is probably just the best mythic to have into everyone except the Ashe, which, Stanley's eating good. If you look at the gold lead, I feel like these two dragons kind of make these teams at basically an even spot. I think Spectres is slightly more powerful, but I think you being at a bit of a deficit on Alawi is not the biggest deal. That was kind of what you were planning on happening here. But Jonah does get caught out with a basically max duration stun, and this Mordekaiser ulti is probably just going to doom him, but he's maneuvering out of the walls really well here. He might have to burn a flash to survive. Does get over the wall. and is just kiting out this fight, but he's able to prevent himself from dying, which is pretty good. Flash from Mordekaiser ult is not the worst trade in the world, especially at a kind of critical point in the game like this, except PB walks up a bit too far, is going to get drowsy, just cleanses himself. Now rises on the backline, everything's split. Jonah's looking to just 1v1 the Ashe, but isn't able to pick it up. Rise, I think, just decided not to Realm Warp there. Looks like he got caught out, but Jonah was able to survive once. He was not able to survive twice. Did get picked up without being able to get Sarvis down off the map. And with the jungler dead, Spectres should just be able to pick up this Baron, unless Stanley has something to say about it. He does have the empowered ultimate. We're probably going to see that fall at some point. It does hit, so Stanley's going to go over the wall, looks for the damage, is not able to find anyone though, just gets CC chained. And Alana is not in this fight, did take a base. And now they are being slowed by the Lilia, and now they're running in. Alex is just going to fall, gets the jungle camp treatment from Lilia, just gets smited down. Yeah, I feel like Andromeda tried to contest something that was already lost there, and paid the price for it, unfortunately. I definitely saw what Stanley was going for there, but he was just not able to pick it up. And Gruer is able to grab this side lane tower. And go in. And now Caesarius is running. Should just be able to grab this Scuttle Crab away. And Jonah just needs to get out. Milia's literal heal field is struggling to catch up with Rek'Sai. Kind of a goofy interaction there. Someone watching might know the answer to this, but I wonder if Rek'Sai with increased attack range with Milio is actually able to auto someone and do the knockup without actually hitting them. I think it would be interesting if the attack range gets increased enough, but PB is getting stunned down here. Just the CC chain is so good. Alex is forced to burn out the cleanse, was looking for a kill on the backline onto Sarvis, but Sarvis has just been living by threads in this game, and Bean is so strong. Basically full level 18 now, 220 CS, just dominating the soul lane. Is going to be getting the demonic embrace pretty soon, and he is terrifying. I don't believe he's been in any real team fights, but it kind of doesn't matter. And now the ult comes down. Alana is just going to fall. Yeah, and I'm not sure if you can blind Alawi if you're leaving Mordekaiser up. It's a bit rough. Tier 2 is being taken on both sides of the map for Spectres, and now basically out of nowhere they've turned their 2,000 gold lead into a 10k gold lead in the span of like only a couple minutes. Things are looking quite good for Spectres here. Now Jonah's looking for this fight, but he's down 5 levels. And Bean still had Alawi stats, so that is not a fight you're going to win, I'm afraid. No objectives are up for a while. The next one is going to be this Baron, and I feel like just because of the range differential, it's going to be really hard for Spectres to kind of force a game to close out without one of these objectives. And obviously Elder is nowhere in sight. It's quite far away at the time being. They've been able to get a dragon, but still 3 more are going to be needed for Soul. But what they can do is just deny away all these jungle camps and increase their level leads. Bean is the highest in the game by 2 and has now hit level 18 with his full level. And obviously this extra stats coming from Roa are also helping out Caesarius and Gruer a bit. Yeah, I mean, I don't really know who can kill this Mordekaiser. Certainly not going to be Alana here. The ult should just come down. It's going to pick it up, but it might be her team afterwards. But no, I don't think so. The angle to go for the play, Jonah saw it, but then the entire team is able to catch him out on a ward and collapse on him. I believe this ward over here was maybe able to catch him out, or it's just good intuition. But now they're just running down. Alex is falling super low. I don't believe they're just going to be able to pick him up off of this, but it's going to be really hard to do much because you are in a 3v5 here and you're down 12k gold. Yeah, they're just rotating over to the other lane that has minions, just shoving this in. They're probably not going to get triple inhib here, but they might just be able to win the game. Leona goes in for an engage. Forces out some healing, but actually they're just going to take the waves to mid lane. Really heads up play from the Rise, using the Realm Warp to its full capability. That is why the champion is quite good in 5s, and they are just going to get triple inhib right before the Baron spawns. Really good play by Spectres here. Like normally we've seen Spectres win games just based on good skirmishing, but I feel like this game Spectres has really been dominating just through their macro play, especially with Gruer on this Rise, has been looking really solid. Sarvis has been playing out of his mind this game, by the way. The amount of fights they've won just because they've committed everything onto him and he's able to position well enough to avoid death has been super impressive. Yeah, I feel like his team fighting impact has been immense. There could be another play here. All the members of Andromeda are present this time, and Sarvis actually isn't. They might want to go for a play sooner rather than later, but it looks like they just need to go back and defend their base. Triple inhib does do that to you. But yeah, I mean, I don't really know how you can test this. Jonah's just going to get ulted immediately. There's no way to steal an objective with a Mordekaiser sitting on it. He actually is not going to die to the Mordekaiser, but he's going to die right after, and I feel like now, with this Baron buff, they should just be able to walk down the game and get the win. Alex does eat the Ash Arrow and immediately cleanses it, but now they're just realm warping everyone to the top side of the map. That is one of the lanes that's shoved in the most. Alex is getting healed, trying to get himself out of there. Really huge ulti from Stanley there, but there's no one else on his team here to help him. They're just trying to clear the wave on Lucian. Gruer is looking for a kill. The Drowsy does come down, but I believe he's in base already, so it's not going to matter. Stanley is going to get caught out one more time at the end of this game, and same with Alana, just getting picked off. They're able to get Mythic right at the end in exchange for Alex, and this is just going to be a very clean victory from Spectres. It felt like Andromeda was really sticking in it for a while there until about 20, 22, 23 minutes, and then they just made a bit of a few flippy plays and did not go so well from there. Looks like Andromeda is going to be electing to stay on the same side there. Honestly, do respect that decision. I think it's basically just correct. I feel like that A-Soul pick was really good. Kind of solves most of their issues. So looking for another pick like that, I think, is definitely going to be what they want. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. I think you can get some better lane matchups in your side lanes, and I think you're looking a whole lot better. I feel like the Lucian Milio is probably something that was prepped against. I don't think it did too terribly, honestly. I feel like the Rek'Sai and Alawi really struggled to get much accomplished there. And Avery is being subbed in for Bean. This is something that I think we knew was going to happen ahead of time. Avery was just still waiting to get off work. But I'm glad we got to see a game from Bean there. He performed really well, obviously a bit quiet just because top lane is an island. But, you know, is what it is. I believe draft is going to be happening in about 4 minutes. So I'm going to see if I can't fix these assets real quick. But yeah, I think mostly what I'm going to be looking for from these teams is Andromeda looking to get better blinds in their solo lanes and just look to maintain this really good R5 pick. I don't know. I don't think Spectres really has much to work on. I think their draft could have been punished if they weren't executing so well in the macro department. But they just played a really clean game, so I think it's just kind of hard to punish them too well. Scrimbot has just resent the draft link after. A bit goofy. He's a little fellow. Draft is looking pretty much the same here. We are seeing Lilia banned over Sejuani, which is something that I do like. Nautilus is locked in, though. We saw Ashe banned instead of not. So we're letting the Nautilus through instead of the Lilia. which I don't think is necessarily terrible. I feel like the Nautilus and Leona probably did the same thing, and Mythic has shown that he's pretty proficient on both. But I wonder if we're just going to see Lucian Milio here again. Actually, Leona is locked in as the counter. I feel like generally Leona is considered to be the weaker one in this matchup, but I do think that is only true in really high skill brackets. I think otherwise it's a pretty good neutralizing matchup. Both of these champions are kind of just going to try and do the same thing. I hope Alex holds his pick for later in the game here. I think Alex and PB are a really strong lane to play through, so being able to hold counter could be really solid. Xayah is just picked up instead, though. I feel like it is not too bad. If you are looking to just play for scaling, which it felt like they were trying to do in the previous game, I don't think it's too bad. Sarvis is hovering Jhin. Is it possible that I absolutely Giga Mind Tricked Sarvis into picking Jhin? God bless the heavens. I have baited them into picking a bad champion. And now Cho'Gath is just blinded. I'm not sure if this is for Avery, Caesarius, or Gruer. I think it probably could be any of them if we're getting a little funny here, but realistically that's just going to go to Avery, and I think you just want to grab the Mordekaiser here, but you're not too upset with the Lowy either. I wonder if this is just a bait pick, or actually maybe Spectres is just egoing out of their minds. Maokai is locked in for Jonah. I wonder if we'll see a double mid laner or a double top lane ban. I think would be pretty funny, but very rude. Jonah has shown that Maokai is a champion that he's quite good on. So this is a very good lock-in for Andromeda. I think they're playing to their strengths very well with this draft so far. Xerath is taken away again. I'm expecting to see Syndra taken off the table as well. Asol's taken away. That was just a very good counter pick from Stanley, so they're just trying to deny that. If you think your pool's being pinched here, what you can do is just not ban Syndra and just grab it for yourself, but I think that is a little rough because I feel like Alana can already counter pick her champion, so you don't want to hold it all the way to the end. Syndra is just being taken away. Stanley's going to opt for another Giga Brain R5 this game, it feels like. Victor is taken away. That is not available as a counter pick either. We should just see allow your Mordekaiser here if I had to guess correctly. I think either of them probably do quite well into the Cho'Gath. I don't think you'd really be upset about seeing either of them here. But they're taking their sweet time. I think Alawi is probably the slightly better matchup, just if you're looking at statistics. And we are seeing it again. If they are doing a bait and switch and the Cho'Gath is not top just so they can pick Mordekaiser again, I think that is like giga rude, but I really don't think we're going to end up seeing that. But Gruer and Caesarius should pick some high DPS characters here because that is what this team is lacking. They have some really good tanks, and Jhin is quite good at poking and having kind of burst damage, but you just locked 3 tanks into Jhin, so you're kind of screwed. Tristana is being put down, really good pairing with the Nautilus. It can get a little bit risky though, because if you get a little too excited and jump in and Xayah gets a good blade color, it's pretty doomed for you, but obviously if you position well, you're not in that much of a threat. And now Shyvana is locked in by Spectres, denying this pick away, or not denying this pick, but kind of showing, hey, Jonah, you can play Shyvana, I can play Shyvana too, I think is a very interesting look here. And something that I'm excited to see. I don't believe we've seen Caesarius on this Shyvana before. And this pick could be a lot of things. I guess this is probably Tristana mid. I don't know. I didn't realize that immediately. I think Talia is really good here. Obviously, you're stopping dashes from Trist. Maybe Jhin if he gets Gale Force. Nautilus and Shyvana. Cho'Gath is the only one who's definitely not going to have a dash. I mean, unless you build Gale Force Cho'Gath, but then like I think you should just be reported for that one. But I don't know. I like this draft a lot for Andromeda. I think they're in a really good spot here. Have favorable matchups in all their lanes, and another really good R5 counter, just like we wanted. So I have basically nothing to complain about here. And I did mention before the last game that Tristana would have been a really good pick there. I think it's a lot less good here because you don't have this AP damage problem that you were fielding earlier, but clearly I have just mind-controlled Andromeda into drafting the team comp that I wanted to see from them, which, you know, that's always a dub. Mason's telling me Shyvana is unstoppable during ult, which is true, but she'll still get stunned after because of how stun duration works. I believe is how that works. Oh, oops, I totally left the wrong assets on there. Real quick, we'll go over this and see if there's anything super interesting. Champ matchups, Cho'Gath is historically better. Leona has been a bit better in our server, which I don't think is super surprising. Past performance, still trying to fix this. Gruer's played mid Tristana once before, did not go very well. Stanley is 3-0 on the Talia. Jonah obviously looking good on the Maokai, a lot better this season than previously. And Alex is actually 0-3 on the Xayah with a 1.58 KD, which is kind of rough. But Stanley, obviously on this Talia, very scary, so that is what we're going to want to keep our eyes on. We are kicking it in game now, assuming Riot will allow me to look at this. And here we go. And I will be right back. Alright, my bad, I had to step away for a second there. What I didn't realize is that it's actually Jhin mid, with Triss going into the bot lane. So the comments I said about Triss and Desire are a bit relevant, but obviously Sarver's really good play there, gets a double kill. Zarius is setting up a lane gank now, does have 6. Looks like he's opting for the more AP-oriented. Sarver's just goes right in. Huge burst of damage down onto Alex, but it's not going to be enough to pick him up. Really good flash there from PB. Actually baits Mythic into tower, but I don't think there's going to be enough to kill him there. Jonah did pick up a kill onto the mid lane there, which is pretty helpful to kind of bail this out, but this Tristana has such a huge lead here. Cho'Gath and Shyvana are also quite ahead. No dragons are picked up, which is a bit odd for a Shyvana game. Normally you do want to power those down early, but obviously this Chemtech dragon is harder to take earlier in the game. Okay, Maokai ult is coming down. This root onto Mythic should be really strong. He is able to be picked up by Stanley. First kill of this fight is dropping down. Now Jonah's in a rough spot. He might need a flash, but is just ultimately picked up by Gruer. Really good ult there. And now Alana is looking to trade into Avery, but is a bit low on mana to get too much done. I was not expecting the Jhin mid. I feel like Spectres previously have done like a bit of a funny draft in a game 2 where they won the game 1 pretty solidly. I forget which team exactly that was against. I want to say it was MVP. We saw, I believe, the Ivern with the Hecarim top was being pulled there, but huge stun from, or a huge flip from Stanley, but he just didn't have enough mana to get the full combo off there. Gruer does not have an ult to try and finish this off, so a bit of mind control was cast there, but not quite in the way I thought it was, I guess, with the draft. The Jhin pick just being flex mid instead. It's been going quite well for Brewer. Looks like he's just going to be going for this lethality build. Kind of working as a traditional mage, just with AD damage instead of magic. I'm going to pray that nothing exciting happens for the next couple minutes, because I do got to go change my laundry.
Okay, well, it appears Spectres has completely blown up in the game while I've been gone. Lots more kills going over to Gruer. He picked up 3. I believe Sarvis cashed in on 1 and Cesarius picked up the other. However, after this kill, Lana now up a kill in this lane. I believe it is a little Alawi favored, so it's not super crazy. But both teams should end up 1-1 on Dragons. The Mountain Drag is going over to Cesarius. And Cloud Soul is the soul available here. Tactical, or Alex, is able to pick up the root. And they're able to pick him up, but Mythic just flashes in. Really good play there, is able to pick one up in return. Stanley's taking a lot of damage under tower here and is probably just going to fall to Gruer's ultimate. And now Alana's going to die as well. That was pretty brutal. We're going for a dive and just took too much damage from tower, puts them in a really bad position. And now PB is going to get caught out as well. Got some stuns under tower, but Cesarius should just be able to walk it off. And that is now 7 kills for this mid lane Jhin. And he is able to pick up yet another turret. Spectres do have 4 turrets already, are sitting at a bit of a 9,000 gold lead at the moment. Cesarius is just taking the base now, has this Rift Herald available to him. You might just want to crack open the side lane, but you could also threaten mid inhib. Don't believe the timer is going to be up until the next dragon though, so it's going to be hard to kind of synchronize it with something. You might just want to throw a bot lane and try to win a Baron off of it. Could be some effective use of it. They're trying to set up a trap here for Spectres, but Spectres are just content to farm their own jungle here, get some advantage there. Lana actually does grab the top tower. Alex is getting stacked up, lots of damage on him, but he's able to get the root onto Sarvis, but it's not enough. He's going to fall. This might be a 2-for-1 in favor of Andromeda, though. Good skirmish here if they're able to pick it up. I'm kind of trying to neutralize it, but Maokai's been caught out by Gruer, and you don't really want to fight when he's here. Cesarius has now showed up. Gruer is legendary. 8 kills consecutively, and now he's just opening fire with his ultimate. Cesarius getting Stanley so low, but now Cesarius himself is going to get caught out. He's able to pick up 1 in return, but now the Alawi's flashing on top of Gruer, getting so much damage down onto him, almost picks that one up, but Gruer is able to just walk out of it. Any damage onto either of these 2 remaining members of Andromeda, and they just die, but it doesn't look like he wants to risk it. Oh, the tip is just too far away. But they are closing the gold lead a little bit. And I really do enjoy the scaling on the side of Andromeda, so I don't think this game is over by any means. They'll just need to play really well to get themselves back into it. Alana, coming out on top of that fight, was able to get a kill, almost got a kill onto Gruer, was able to get his flash out. Just threatening everyone off the wave, and it looks like she is building towards, I believe that would have to be Divine Sunderer. Maybe Essence Reaver as well builds out of those components, but I doubt she would be going for that. And the typical Riot buffer. Jonah is just going to farm here, try to catch up to the Shyvana, who's been power farming super well this game. The Night Harvester, Nashers, just gives her so much clear speed and a lot of damage in these fights. Double Dark Harvest for the mid jungle has been doing so well this game, getting them a lot of extra damage in these skirmishes. When I was saying skirmishing comp, I don't think this is the pair I had in mind, but now it looks like Gruer's caught out. But this speed that he has with the Ghost and his auto passive is just so much. They're able to pick one up, but now Gruer falls very low, got picked off by Stanley, but his whole team's there, so Stanley's not able to pick him up. I feel like Andromeda's greatest weakness this series has been chasing ADCs who just position too well to be caught out. and this Herald is just destroying the map. They dropped it on the side I thought they would, but they're not even leveraging Baron off of it. They're just trying to get as much damage done to the base as possible. Alana is getting a tower on the split push. She is quite strong. About 400 gold up on her counterpart, the only person on Andromeda who can say that. PB is the only other one that's keeping it close. The pings are now coming down for Baron, but for the side of Andromeda, they're assuming Spectres is just taking a reset there. It looks like they're going for the Cloud Soul, or the Cloud Dragon, maybe. But Alana steps up just a bit too far. Gruer is popping the Ghost Blade, running in, gets the root down. Alana ults nothing and is just going to fall. That's a solo kill for Gruer. It's his 10th kill of the game, 10 in a row without dying. But there's no vision from the blue side on this Baron. If we take a look, it's just completely dark. They're just willing to take the dragon, but this gold influx for the other team is not going to be something to scoff at. And now Gruer is caught out a little bit, but Stanley misses the flick and is just going to get killed. Jonah is going for the ulti here, but I just don't think there's enough people around him to help commit for it. Stanley got a little too excited. It sounded like a flash is coming out, but no, actually Avery just teleported behind and they're picking all these people off. Andromeda was trying to take the reset, but they stalled it to try and go for Gruer and get punished really well for it. I wonder what the Red Bull Baron power play stats would be for this, but I imagine it's next to 0. Might even be in Spectre's favor. There is a deep ward placed right here at this turret, but they're obviously just going to shove out this top wave. They don't want to risk losing it. And now that is the 7th turret taken by Spectres. They're just trying to tighten their grip on this map. Good stun from Stanley onto the Nautilus. Not going to be able to pick him up though, and the Ignite just ticks down from Nautilus to be able to secure the kill onto Alana, who has been playing very well this game, but it just feels like there's not much that she can do. Oh, good root from Alex there, looking for Gruer, but the flash from PB just doesn't get him close enough to pick this up. This has been an insane game by Gruer so far. I believe he started out 0-1-0 and has gone 11-0-5 since then. Just really hard to deal with anyone that's this fed, but Jhin can just pick off these members, and it feels like there's no one who can even get on top of him. The move speed from the Zeal he has, plus the Ghost Blade, plus the Ghost, and just the fact that Jhin gets move speed when he autos is just a bit scary. I'm not sure who's really going to be able to pick him off. It felt like there were a few efforts to try and get it, but it's just didn't feel like Andromeda's coordinated enough to pull it off. Alana's now going for a 1v1 onto the Cho'Gath. Gruer's just running in. It's basically impossible for him to get hit by these flicks now just because of the movement speed he has, and now he flashes the Leona combo. Sarvis is going in onto the Xayah. Does get rooted. Alex is playing pretty well, but there's just nothing he can do. He's actually not that far behind in items, but I think Tristana just has the damage there. Definitely the better 1v1 ADC. Jonah is just getting snared up here, but now Caesarius is here getting a lot of damage. Alana's looking for a flank. Mythic is falling really low. I'm not sure he's going to be able to be taken out though. Because Avery goes and flashes for the Leona. Gets the Cho'Gath ult. He is feasting right now. But they're only able to get the 1 kill so far. Gruer's walking up, gets a lot of damage with the rapid fire cannon. Caesarius hits Alana with the tip of it, and now Sarvis is on the backside getting the explosive charge and rocket jump set up, and is just able to hop out before Stanley can get enough damage down. Gruer does get flicked into the stun, but it gets interrupted by Cho'Gath, and was that 2 abilities that killed Stanley? I think it might have been. Alex is falling down quite low. I'm not sure they're going to be able to take him out. Yeah, this is looking like the end for Andromeda. That first game felt like it was pretty close, but the mid game is where Andromeda fell apart here. Gruer just got way too far ahead on lethality Jhin mid. I guess a pocket pick that he had been saving just for this game, but he just looked fantastic there. And Alana is able to grab it shut down right before the game ends, but that is another 2-0 for the Spectres. And that would be 4-0 total against Andromeda this season for this team. I think the MVPs, in my opinion, are going to go to Sarverus for Game 1. I think his positioning really messed with Andromeda throughout the game. Really well played by him there. And then, obviously, I would be trolling if I gave the second game MVP to anyone but Gruer. His KP was just completely unmatched. I believe he had 22 KP, and second most on his team was 11. So literally doubling everyone else on his team, and he had, want to say, double the damage of anyone else in the game. Stanley did put up a good fight, trying to get a lot done there, but ultimately the Jhin is just too far ahead, and there's not much you can do. I felt like, I don't know. I felt like Stanley put up a really good fight there. I think he should be proud of how he played, especially that first game. But I feel like Andromeda's skirmishing just wasn't super coordinated. The team was not going in together. And Spectres was just able to pull this out. Really good series for them. I am going to grab Gruer for the MVP interview for that second game. Hello.
Hello.
Jhin mid?
Yeah, it's a good pick, right?
I wouldn't say it's conventional. What was the thought process there?
Well, Jhin is like my second most played champion ever after Echo, so I feel really comfortable on it. And kind of just wanted to do something spicy game 2, and I don't know, I'd been kind of wanting to pull that out, and figured why not this game.
Yeah, I mean, I had no clue it was even up in your list. I feel like everyone just talks about these mid lane picks, like you see the Echo, you see the Syndra. I just honestly didn't know. I guess you can probably see it if you look at your card on the site. But
Yeah.
I don't think people would really assume that the Jhin was going to go mid.
Well, I didn't think it would go that well, if we're being honest. But
Yeah, I mean, I don't
worked out.
I don't think anyone was predicting that. I think Jhin, especially with lethality build, when he gets the Dark Harvest stacked up, just gets so crazy so quickly, and it's just really hard for them to do anything. I don't know. I mean, I saw a draft. I see Leona, I see Maokai, I see Alawi. I go, Jin's not going to have fun this game. But if you get ahead before they start building health and resistances, then clearly you're fine.
Yeah,
So.
when Jhin snowballs, it's really hard to deal with, like you were saying, just all the movement speed and stuff. It's really hard to catch.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like you press the Ghost Blade and get a crit, and then you're going like, what, 700 speed or something crazy like that?
Yeah, it's pretty wild.
Yeah. All right, well played to you. Able to close it out again. You guys have been looking really good. I was worried we'd have another game like your Game 2 versus MVP where you pull out a weird draft and it doesn't go as well. But clearly that was not an issue this time. I feel like you guys have been looking very impressive. So
Maybe if the
congratulations.
Akali last pick would come through, but that's wasn't quite the same. Last pick is like when the Akali came through and kind of just decimated us, the game we lost.
That's fair. Yeah, I mean,
game 1 could have been cleaner, though. I do think Andromeda played well, especially game 1.
Oh, definitely.
I thought Stanley played well on the Aurelion Soul. Blind Pick and Rise was... I kind of did it more for the team, and I think I had some good moments, but he played well, I thought, and like the 1v1, it was making it difficult for me.
Yeah, I feel like your macro looked really good there, but normally from your team we see a lot of like domination and skirmishes, and that definitely wasn't as present. I felt like they kept it pretty close up until about that like 20-21 minute point, and then they were like, let's kill Ashe, and then Sarverus made that a living hell for them. They were not able to do that game, but...
Yeah, Sarverus had a really good series. Really, I thought everybody played well. I got to shout out Bean one more time. Subbed in for us game 1 and just had such a nice performance. Multi-role player, apparently.
Yeah, I mean, you give him the Mordekaiser into Alawi, that shit is a bit illegal, but I don't know. I mean, still, obviously not everyone is going to be able to execute it on it, because I think we were looking at the matchup stats, and
Mordekaiser is like 1-2 into Alawi, but he evened it out to 2-2, even though that should be a clean 4-0 in my opinion. But I don't know.
Yeah, he didn't know he was going to play till like right before, so just
Gotcha.
credit to him stepping in for us and having a great game.
Yeah, I mean, did he go deathless? I think he did, but
I think he did as well, yeah.
yeah. Well played to everyone on Spectres. I guess 6 people instead of the usual 5, but you guys have been looking really good this season. I'm excited to play you personally. What other team have you guys not yet played? I think Nutbusters?
We've not played, Nutbusters and Rift Sharks. I'm also really looking forward to Rift Sharks. I'm
Hey.
excited to play against Taxi. I think he's really good. I haven't got to play against him yet, so I'm looking forward to that.
Gotcha. I mean, we'll see if the schedule lines up. I think we prefer very different days than you guys from what I've been talking to Logan, but I'll see if I can make that work.
Sooner or later, it'll work.
Right. All right. Well, I'm going to cut it off here. Thank you for hopping in for the interview. Yes, and thanks for creating some good content with that mid lane Jhin. That was phenomenal.
Glad I could help.
All right. Peace. Thanks, everyone, for watching.